Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Cycling Life Leadership Bytes. I am Bernard Moerman, and today we have our guest, Daniel Possley. Dan is an American, was in the program in 97, 98, 99, did not become a cyclist, but he became an orthopedic surgeon. Dan, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Hey everybody, Dan Possley. Grew up in Chicago, lived in Belgium from 97 to 99, trying to pursue these big dreams of cycling. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me, but in some ways it did. Stayed in touch with Bernard all these years, and now I'm an orthopedic spine surgeon in Denver, Colorado. Happy father of 3 children.
Wonderful, Dan. You didn't change a bit. We know each other, what, almost 25 years? Man,
yeah, a long time.
We're getting old, but hey, very nice to speak with you. I mean, for what I know is you won the Little 500 before you came to Belgium, as you would pronounce it.
That's right.
Then you were here, and then later you did not work as a cyclist, but then you went back, and finally you became an orthopedic surgeon. Can you tell us this a little bit?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you remember, I met you through someone else, and I talked to you one time on the phone, and then I moved to Belgium. So in those day and age, before the social media was so big, that was crazy, and it turned out you and Anne were awesome human beings, and it really turned into just a platform for me to become the person I am today without me even realizing it. I thought I was just trying to ride Ronde van Vlaanderen and Paris-Roubaix and live these dreams, Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me, but in so many ways it did. And I continue to look back on that time as something that made me who I am. But I'll admit to you, in the beginning it was tough because I didn't get to, put on that jersey and ride those roads and, be that guy on TV like I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Dan, as for every guest, we prepare some questions, and it's mainly about what you could take away through your life. So my first question would be, can you give me some things you learned while you were competing over here as a cyclist that make a difference today in your life?
I think the thing that I really learned that I didn't really understand even when I first got there is that you really have to listen to other people. I was 22 years old and thought I knew it all. And, I came from, like I said, Chicago. This is not a cycling mecca. And then I go to Belgium, which is the cycling mecca. And I'll never forget the first race I went to. Someone actually just rode me off their wheel. And that had never really happened to me before. And then it happened again and again for months and months. And, I don't know if you remember, it took me 3 months just to finish a race.
Yeah.
So I think it was really important to listen to others. I probably didn't learn that till much later. But I remember thinking about, man, if I just would have listened just a little more, I probably would have had a little bit more success, I thought like, oh yeah, you just ride hard, you rest, you eat right. But there's so much more that goes into these things. And even to my professional life today, surrounding yourself with people who really know what they're doing and just trying to absorb their thoughts, their teaching, is something that I think I learned later. When you look at it from the outside, I went to Belgium because of the experience I knew I was going to get. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't listening as much as I probably should have.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you'll learn it. I mean, if you see maybe a little later, but you did. So, right. I mean, another question can be, like, I know that you were wrestling as well before.
Right.
So what attracted you the most in the sport of cycling?
Yeah, it's strange. I actually got some scholarships to wrestle in college here in America. But with cycling, I look at cycling as almost like you're building a fire. It's really important to build that base, get those little sticks, get the kindling, and then without that real deep base of coals, you're never going to have a good fire. And all those training sessions and all those races are just building your engine and building your fire. But the other part of it is very detail-oriented approach. And every race you're preparing for in a specific way, in a specific training. And I really love that, because in life and in cycling, you get what you put in. And, you know, the better I got, the more I saw like, oh, those trainings did make a difference. You know, that little change I made, the way I was eating made a little difference. So there's really a methodical approach to it that I really loved.
Mm-hmm. About that methodical approach, discipline, so to speak. I mean, can you give me an example of the discipline in your cycling career that is helping you today? Because that's, I think, what you're kind of saying, that you need a methodology, but you also need a discipline to stay with that. You know? Yeah,
that's exactly right. So like I said before, I'm a spine surgeon now. And, you know, when I put these scrubs on and go to work every day, it's so much like sport. You know, you wake up, I eat the same things on the day I do surgery. I have the same, you know, technique to prepare for the day, you know, because the risks are not only mine at this point, you know. And, you know, when I operate on this near and around the spinal cord, and it's living life on the razor's edge, you know. So I have the same preoperative planning technique similar to I did in cycling, even more detailed. I mean, I'm 20 years older now. There I said, okay, we're gonna eat some pasta and drink a little coffee, and we're gonna ride as hard as we can until we can't anymore sometimes. But, you know, this approach, you know, I call my mentors, there's videos from online, there's courses, it's, you know, and it's changes to make on the fly like we did in cycling, you know. So that's why I love it, because it's so much like sport. But, you know, with this life, I can get so much more out of helping other people, where, you know, for me in cycling, as I, you know, kind of got away from it, I thought, oh, you know, I was burnt out. I wasn't getting what I wanted out of it. That may be an excuse, but, you know, today, all those little trainings are very similar to what I do in surgery now.
Yeah. Well, I can still see that you're very fit. And you know, when you talk about it, it's the same face as you had 20 years ago, man. it's incredible. So,
yeah.
So we talked about things that you're using. So let's think about now for a second, what is there in the world of cycling that is completely different with what you're doing today?
Like I said, I have 3 kids, you know, and to call them predictable is not real life, right?
Yeah.
Being a father, you know, I'm married to, my wife is a physician as well. Obviously the world is changing rapidly. You know, back then cycling, it was just me, right? All I had to worry about was me.
Yeah.
And that in so many ways was so much easier than now, because I'm worried about my mom, my relatives, my kids, you know, my patients. You know, my patients are my second family. Yeah. I got 2 calls overnight in the middle of the night from patients of mine who have concerns and questions, right? Yeah. So that is very, very different. But I'm telling you, Bernard, in so many ways it's the same. You know, the preparation, the training, the detail, the effort. I mean, doing surgery, you are so focused, hours go by. And when I go home, I'm like, huh, what did I do? I just stood in a room all day. How can I be this tired? But it's that mental focus that'll really get you sometimes.
Yeah, well, I think this goes back to the fact that now you're doing something with your heart. I mean,
right.
That I always try to install it in any of you.
Yeah, yeah.
Because once you do something with your heart, you can do it for longer, and you know, it can be harder, I guess, you know.
Right.
That's exactly. So please don't tell me, tell the others that how much it can help you, you know, doing any kind of sports, you know. Wonderful. So.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think when you're talking about, you know, when you're talking about the heart, you got to listen to it. If you're not listening to it, then I'm not going to say you're wasting your time, but you're going to look back and think, oh, I probably should have done things a little different.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like what I will never forget about you, that was how you wanted to almost kind of like kill yourself for the team, you know. And,
Yeah.
and when I know now that you're, well, I know already a long time that you're a surgeon, but the way you talk about it, it's the same, Dan. It's the concern for the other, help the other. Yeah. And I think those are talents a lot of people do not recognize as well. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and like you said, it took me a while to really tap into that. And the more introspective I was on it, the more I realized I needed it.
Yeah.
You know, so like when people talk about, you know, dreaming and where they're going with their life, it's not that complex. It's only that simple, and it's difficult to really listen to yourself at times.
Yeah.
But when you do that, then that's that magical combination.
Mm-hmm. Where would you place honesty with yourself in this entire story?
Right near the top. I mean, imagine my friends and family, when I said, yeah, I'm going to Belgium to race bikes, they're like, where? You're doing what? I mean, this is not what people do from where I grew up. I mean, you've been to Chicago. It is not even close to that.
Yeah.
You know, so I was pretty honest, and I said, well, this is what I'm going to do. And then when I came back after the first year, I said, okay, good. You're back now, right? So no, I'm going back again. And then I went back again, you know, and they're like, what is wrong with you? So you just have to listen to yourself, and that can be hard, especially when the people who love you and care about you are like, you just need to get a job. What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you did that more in your life, huh? Because I don't think it's normal, so to speak, to become an orthopedic surgeon when you're early 30s, I guess.
Yeah, I was 30. I didn't go to medical school till I was 30, so.
Yeah, so even here, in Europe, that would be a story like, what? You know? Because if I would talk about your story, and as far as I remember, between coming back from cycling here and going to become a doctor, you were a painter, a waiter.
Yeah, I had more jobs than you name it, right? Yeah. But I was like, it was like an army crawl to success for me. Yeah. It was so slow. It was like watching a blade of grass grow. But I knew inside myself that that's what I wanted. And so that was okay. It wasn't a challenge to me. It wasn't a struggle. And those things that I learned racing bikes, maybe if I would have applied those more back when I was in Belgium, maybe I would have had more success.
Yeah.
But in the end, I don't think I wanted it as bad as I wanted this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was more than obvious. Another question is like, well, you won the little 500. You had some very good results over here. Are there any moments in your today life that you can compare that big win feeling?
Sure.
Then with now, can you describe that a little bit?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there in the world in competitive sports, not just cycling, who have those aha moments where everything just clicked and, you know, you win the race, or your team has an unbelievable stage and you don't even feel tired. And medicine and surgery is very analogous to that. I mean, there'll be days when things just go so perfect and the patients they come back to see you, their whole family's there, they're crying, they're hugging you, you change people's lives. You know, it's unbelievable. Not only that, but the act of doing surgery is probably the most intimate thing I've ever done. You know, you have your hands inside someone else's body. They have complete trust in you. You know, those moments, they don't affect you right at that time. You think about it later. You see them at 6, 9, 12 months after surgery, and that's that awesome feeling where you really made a difference, and you know, you're doing exactly what you set out to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine something with that, because I have seen a lot of guys leaving here hating me almost, you know, and then years later I become, hey, you know, thanks to you because of this and that. And it was never about a sportive result. It was about what they were doing with their lives, you know, so that gives a lot of gratitude. Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
Awesome.
Another question I might have about your daily life now, like obviously you're a surgeon, you have your kids, you still ride your bike. I think you go with another ex-cycling member that I know, Billy. You
That's
go
right.
out.
That's right.
Can you tell me a little bit about your daily life?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time I'm up, right as the sun comes up. Oftentimes I still try to work out in the morning. My wife tells me I'm like a dog who needs to be run every day, or I get a little crazy. But there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
My whole life was sports and cycling. And then as you become older and you get more responsibility, there's not often the time for that. But if I don't have that, I'm not right. I start to withdraw and make bad decisions and, get in arguments. So it's super important for me to have that feeling where you're just like feeding that engine again, because it really helps my mind. Then I'm very calm when I approach surgery. I'm ready. Yeah, Billy and I ride all the time. Hopefully that'll continue. Hopefully I look like this when I'm 60, just white hair,
Yeah, well, at least you're on the right path, so to speak. And
Right,
with,
right.
and with Billy, you have a good companion, I guess.
Oh, he's awesome. He's awesome.
How are the kids? How are the kids doing? How much of you do you see in your kids? Because that competitiveness is wonderful.
Right. Well, they want to kill each other on a daily basis. So, they're fighting over some stupid car or a toy. And, the thing with my kids that I really want to foster is to take that spirit and that energy and to put it towards something that they love. Because whatever that is, I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like I taught myself that a little bit. Obviously my mom was instilling that. You got to find something that you really need to do and want to do, and then life will be a lot easier for you. It'll be less of a struggle. So I want to teach them that it's that simple. If you have this dream or this thing in your heart that you want to do, then just approach it and give it a shot. Because it may pay you back more than you ever thought. Doing a job that you don't want to do. I mean, everyone's been there. We're like, man, maybe if I just crash this car into the tree today, I don't have to go to work. You know what I mean? And let's be honest, everyone's been there. No one wants to live that way. So that's what I'll really, as they grow older, try to teach them.
Wow. Talking about crashing a car, where did I hear that before, huh? You remember the green Renault we had?
Oh yeah, totally.
So I mean, we're almost towards the end now, and I need my glasses to read my notes. Is it okay when I say three takeaways of this talk are like, always trust your imagination. At least I think that's what I get from you. And then big losses do not necessarily mean it's a failure, as long
completely.
As and then another one is like, keep dreaming. Is that, can you, if you're okay with those, can you explain that a little more, a little deeper? Because you did already, but just to wrap up.
Right. Well, I mean, first of all, we met each other 25 years ago. I was 20 years old, and it's very common for people in their 20s to say, I have these big dreams, these big life dreams. You're just at the first steps of your life. But I mean, I'm 45 years old now. I've become a surgeon. I have a family. I'm married. I've done lots of things. But man, Bernard, you'd be blown away if you saw my vision board today. I mean, I'm still dreaming. I'm still climbing. I'm still trying to live in the confines of what my imagination is, because that's all it is. My imagination is just a message to my future life. These are the things I want to do. These are the things I want to be. And the opinions of other people, it's much easier for me not to let them creep in now, right? Because when they start creeping in, you start doing things, oh, okay, I guess I'll just get a job. Oh, okay, I guess I won't move. Oh, I won't learn a language, It's up to you. And it's that simple. There's no master recipe. You don't need any special parents. You don't need any special people. And it can make it easier if you have those people around you, for sure. But if you just live within that little circle in your brain and just trust and believe in it, then you can kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why your entire story attracts me so much, because, you know, you had to really do it yourself. I mean, and that's not a blame. It's just some other guys, you know, had even more talent than you had as a cyclist, but were so much from home that they got lost after months. I remember you know, coming back like beaten like a dog, so to speak. And and you were always a guy that next time it will be better, you know, and as long as you talked about next time, I knew it was not very good this time, but you were already with your mind in the next time, where others, you know, were, oh, it's because of this guy and because of my wheel and because of this or that. And then 3 months later, those guys went home, you know? So
well, I think for me, the only person I ever really had to impress was me, you know, and you can get lost in that, you know, within the living for the neighbor, trying to be a better surgeon than the other guy. It's not a competition, you versus them. It's just a competition, me versus me. You can work on that every day and be honest with yourself. I think that's the real hard part, is being real honest with yourself, especially when things aren't working out. Then, you know, life is easier, you're happier, and you can just really climb and accomplish the things you want to.
No, I totally agree. I mean, because I've always kind of preached those things, just because I went through the same things when I wanted to become a soccer player. I mean, when I was 15 years old and I said, I have a dream to become a soccer player, they said, well, of all the guys we see on the field here, a lot of guys can get there, but for sure you not. You know, and that was enough to say, like, well, I will get there. And you know what? I was the only one that got there, you know. Well, wonderful. Dan, you know, time is out almost. It was a pleasure talking.
That was awesome.
And sharing this with other people. So thank you, Dan, but just stay one more minute, because to all you guys, spectators, I need to say, you will see this guy again, and you will see him with Magnus Backstedt. And, you know, and both, so Big Maggie and Dan met each other because of the cycling center, but that's how they got to know each other. But they will never forget each other, because there is something that happened. Those guys can become 300 years, they will not forget. Don't you think so, Dan?
Yeah. I mean, some days I try to forget it. But,
hey, so, hey, all of you, thank you very much. If you like this, thumbs up, and come back next time to This Cycling Life. Bye.
See you, Bernard. Thank you.
Yeah.